Herzlich willkommen bei Digitale Optimisten. Ich bin Alex und ich spreche in diesem Podcast mit den Elon Musks, Mark Zuckerbergs und Steve Jobs von morgen. Ich habe das Glück, in diesem Podcast mit so wahnsinnig vielen smarten Gründern aus unterschiedlichen Branchen zu sprechen. Smart Home, Mobility, Human Resources, Smart Health, Sportwetten und viele mehr. Was mich an all den Gesprächen am Ende so interessiert, ist, dass die Gründer noch ganz am Anfang stehen, wo der Nebel noch ganz dicht über der Zukunft liegt. Deshalb mache ich immer wieder Check-in-Folgen, in denen ich mit Gründern spreche, die schon mal zu Gast waren und wo sich dieser Nebel dann schon ein bisschen mehr verzogen hat. Einige haben ihr Geschäftsmodell schon total umgekrempelt, bei anderen läuft die nächste Finanzierungsrunde und wieder andere haben mittlerweile aufgegeben. Heute spreche ich wieder mit Owen Phillips, der in Folge 5 zu Gast war. Owen will mit seinem Startup BrainKey das letzte große Geheimnis des menschlichen Körpers lüften. Er möchte das Gehirn jedes Einzelnen digitalisieren, analysieren und letztlich Krankheiten wie Alzheimer einfacher erkennbar und behandelbar machen. Hier ein kurzer Abschnitt aus der Folge.
One thing that really caught my attention is people were so excited to see their own brain. It's this really amazing experience to actually see your brain, not just like some random brain scrolling through the TV or on the internet, but seeing your own brain is a very amazing experience. So that's partly what BrainKey is about, is bringing this amazing technology directly to an individual person.
Dieser Check-in und diese Folge ist deshalb so interessant für mich gewesen, weil Covid-19 natürlich eine unglaubliche Auswirkung auf Smart Health Startups hat. Owen beschreibt, wie er den Wind für sein Geschäftsmodell nutzen will, aber auch wie leer San Francisco geworden ist als direkte Folge der Pandemie. Und gute Nachrichten für den Standort Deutschland, denn Owen hat sich entschieden, aus Tübingen auszuarbeiten. Mehr Gedanken von mir zu Smart Health findest du auch in meiner aktuellen Wirtschaftswoche-Kolumne, in der ich mich frage, ob wir mit Smart Health eigentlich alle zu Hypochondern werden. Den Link findest du in den Shownotes unter dieser Folge. Ich freue mich, dass auch diese Folge von Brain Effect gesponsert wird. Brain Effect ist der #1 Shop in Europa für Performance Food, also Nahrungsmittel, die dir dabei helfen können, besser zu schlafen, dich besser zu konzentrieren oder dich einfach besser zu fühlen. Der Gründer Fabian war selber Leistungssportler und hat seine Ernährung aus dieser Zeit in die Produkte von Brain Effect verwandelt. Probier's mal aus, wenn du zum Beispiel gegen 15 Uhr nicht mehr zum Schokoriegel greifen willst. Mit Optimisten20 erhältst du 20% auf deinen Einkauf auf www.brain-effekt.com. Mehr Infos findest du dazu auch in den Shownotes. Und jetzt rein ins Gespräch mit Owen Phillips, CEO von BrainKey. Hey Owen, absolutely thrilled to have you back on the show. Tell me, we discussed a lot of things a couple of months ago, back in episode number 5 of this show, but you are in the smart health space, so that must have been a ton of changes coming your way with COVID-19. How did you fare during those times?
Hi, Alex. So since we chatted, obviously the biggest thing that's happened is COVID, which really has affected, I think, everybody, of course, and startups in particular. For us, it was such an initial shock. We ended up giving up our office and going fully remote, which was a bit tough at first, but then we've really just embraced being a fully remote company. It's really working for us. And pretty much every other startup I know has really actually kind of loved this transition to being a fully remote workforce. Other than that, the really interesting thing is terribly, COVID is actually having a lot of neurological symptoms in patients with even mild courses of the disease. So things like impaired memory function. The one most people have heard about is loss of smell. But these are lingering effects that seem to be happening in a large number of patients. So there's quite a lot of growing awareness about potential neurological and brain changes that are the result of COVID. So what we don't know is if COVID is directly impacting the brain and actually crossing the blood-brain barrier and directly infecting cells in the brain, or if it's some downstream effects that are the result of inflammation, immune response that ends up impacting the brain. Regardless, what is starting to happen is more and more neurologists are recommending that patients get a brain baseline, so an MRI scan, to assess generally their overall brain health post-COVID. And so we have found that just really fascinating. It's something we've been paying a lot of attention to. So since 2019, really going into the future, our place in the ecosystem, especially with recovered COVID patients, is something we've been really interested in trying to make an impact about. And of course, our tools, so our analysis tools to interpret and provide enhanced analysis on brain MRI scans, fits exactly into providing an overall picture of somebody's brain health and their brain baseline. So we're really excited about that and been working really hard with that.
Okay, cool. So that's the business side. That seems taken care of. But what happened? What was it like personally living in San Francisco during those times?
Personally, living in San Francisco was tough because, what we felt when I was there is this exodus already starting to happen. That was even a few months ago. You noticed all these moving vans popping up everywhere, and all these places for rent signs popping up all over. And since then, I've actually left San Francisco. And because my wife is from Germany, we left a few months ago and came to Tübingen near Stuttgart, and have been staying in Tübingen really since COVID struck. My parents are still in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we're getting updates with them all the time and really just watching the whole situation evolve. So it's really obviously such a big impact on everybody, and we're kind of anecdotally both really worried for the Bay Area, but also optimistic because housing prices have just been so high that this might act as a kind of correction and drive down the prices. I have a buddy who's a real estate agent in Santa Cruz, and what they're seeing is actually a lot of sales of larger homes in areas outside of the major metropolitan areas. And so that might be the kind of direction things are going in the future, is that people just exit the cities and look for these type of places to live.
Yeah, it must be tough being a landlord these days or developing office space somewhere in San Francisco or around the world. I see the same developments happening in Germany and a lot of places around the world too. But tell me, when you were in that situation, you must have been talking to investors, employees, maybe even your parents. What did they tell you how to act during those times? What kind of advice did they give you?
The biggest one, it was kind of initially everybody really, I think in retrospect, kind of freaked out. I think there was just so many unknowns. We didn't know how bad COVID was going to be and how many people were going to get infected, how you could get infected. And it was really scary. And so everybody kind of went into lockdown. For us personally, there's so much engineering and development work that we do that things didn't really slow down on that side. And weirdly, our product, since it's an online product, we saw increases in traffic, and we saw increases in patients utilizing our site to upload their brain MRI scans, which seems like this is a response to people just having more time at home, and maybe being more aware of their health issues. The biggest advice we got from our investors is really to conserve your burn, and try to make sure you have as much runway as possible, because nobody knows what the funding landscape is going to be like. So that's been a big piece of advice that we really took to heart going through COVID.
So how has your role changed in the last couple of months? Some people that I interview, they tell me there's only two things you can do as a founder, either building the product or selling the product. So how has that shifted during the last couple of months?
So it's gone much more into the selling it side, as opposed to the building it side, which I think it always kind of is. It seems to be my job to try to get our team motivated and everybody together to really build out the product. And on top of that, though, of course, there's just a million tasks in terms of building out our product that I end up having some input on. But yeah, one other point I wanted to touch on is that we have actually started working with Professor Karsten Fink. He's a neurologist at Charité University in Berlin. So Karsten, Dr. Fink, and I have had a long-standing collaboration looking at autoimmune diseases, so things like anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, and other brain diseases like NMO and multiple sclerosis that are immune and brain-related diseases or health issues. And what we have really evolved in our collaboration is I've been showing him what we've been doing at BrainKey, and he's had these great thoughts about how our product can actually be used in a patient-facing way to help the physician explain brain MRI scans to their patients. So that's a task that he, as a neurologist, will do throughout the day. And that can be a tough task to explain a complex medical image to a patient. So we are exploring ways of just adapting our existing technology, our existing platform, to make it more useful for physicians directly. So instead of being purely a direct-to-consumer play, our patient-facing tool might end up being pretty nice for physicians, so more in a B2B sales cycle. And so we're really interested in that and really looking to build that out. So that, in terms of my role, that's kind of an interesting point where I need to be out there just talking about what we're doing and showing off what we're doing. And while I'm doing that, if we come across some good opportunity, that's something we want to jump on.
I mean, no one could have seen COVID-19 coming and all the effects it had. I think it's sometimes, fun to think about, or, interesting, mind enticing kind of, to think about what you would have done if you would have known the consequences. But obviously that's a hypothetical exercise. So, I mean, what have you learned from those months dealing with COVID-19 and standing on the front lines and, trying to make it work for your company?
It's a continuous learning process. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it feels like every week I'm learning something new. The biggest one is really how to develop kind of B2B partnerships. So that's something we have really accelerated since the last time we talked. So we partnered with other startups in the brain health space, and other traditional healthcare providers. Um, so we're pretty excited about that. We're going to have some announcements about those coming out pretty soon. That's something that I think I initially was not too familiar with, just how to negotiate, how to set those up. So that's been a learning process to really develop to be able to do that and to try to do that as efficiently as possible. The next one that I think's been really valuable to do is this focus as from building it to really focusing on our KPIs. So what is actually driving metrics that are really responsible for moving the needle for a business, and really getting efficient about where time is spent and where our resources is spent, both intellectually and of course our whatever runway we have, just being very tight with that and really directing everything towards our KPIs. So that's been, I think, an evolution of a learning process. I think if I was starting over from scratch again, I would get even tighter on that. Spend more time early on, really focused on our KPIs and making sure everything that we do is really directing those.
So you mentioned that you moved to Germany to work Brain Key from here, and I mean, I imagine that must be really difficult. I think what's the time difference? 9 hours from Germany to the west coast of the U.S. So how do you make that work?
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that. So since I came from San Francisco to Germany, I've been amazed by how little my work has been impacted. Incredibly, I can work from here, uh, ironically, I think even more efficiently than I did back home because of the time difference. I have this chunk of the day in the morning to really concentrate on, I guess, builder work, really getting deep into the work that I'm doing and having that mind space to focus on that. And then when it hits around 5 p.m. here, I can take a bunch of meetings early in the AM on the West Coast, which is where most of my meetings generally take place. So we can have those meetings over Zoom. So I'm getting people fresh in the morning in California time, and I'm over here around 5 o'clock, and that's perfect for me. So I'm kind of winding down my day. It can take, a few hours of meetings until 8 or so and really knock out everything. So I'm loving this whole ability to work in different places that is something I wouldn't have thought had been so possible until COVID really forced that on us.
Well, that sounds amazing. I'm really happy that it works for you. There was a little period of time where I, did the whole Germany, San Francisco thing, and that was really difficult for me to pull off, but it's great to hear that you're actually doing it. But I mean, you're kind of ingrained in the whole startup scene in San Francisco. You went through Y Combinator, you have your offices in San Francisco. So how do you perceive Germany as a startup landscape and environment compared to, San Francisco and the US?
Germany has been fantastic to be in. One, from just the safety of it. COVID has had less cases. Obviously, it's something we're keeping close tab on, but generally, it's been a fairly safe environment. And then two, I've been connecting with a lot of other entrepreneurs in Germany and other in specifically German investors. And the environment here is really interesting and really, I think, vibrant. And pretty much every investor I've talked to has had a much larger fund that they've raised in the past few years than anything they ever had historically. So there seems to be more and more money and energy in the German ecosystem to develop startups. And that's something I'm super excited to see, and something I'm really happy about. And yeah, finally, I'm just I'm really excited about this collaboration with Dr. Fink, Professor Fink at Charité University in Berlin. It'd be really great to adapt our tools to help physicians. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that develops.
Wonderful. Those are great news for Germany and the German startup scene, especially to have someone like you in Germany at the moment working with German hospitals through COVID-19 and especially on your startup. I'm really happy for that. And that's all the time we have. So I can only wish you all the best for BrainKey. Thanks again for coming on a second time. And let's see how everything plays out with the pandemic. And maybe we need to have a third talk where you can tell us more about, how everything kind of went after COVID-19. So thanks again and all the best for you and BrainKey. So, das war's wieder für diese Woche mit Digitale Optimisten. Diesmal mit Owen Phillips, CEO von BrainKey, der uns erzählt hat, wie ein Pivot oder ein kleiner Pivot im Smart Health Bereich geht, was ihn nach Deutschland gezogen hat und wie er eigentlich die Startup-Szene in Deutschland wahrnimmt. Einen kleinen Teil fand ich besonders interessant, und zwar als er gesagt hat, was er besser machen würde, wenn er nochmal anfangen könnte mit BrainKey. Und er hat gesagt, dass er stärker auf die KPIs achten würde, die wirklich relevant sind. Am Ende also Fokus. Das war's für diese Folge von Digitale Optimisten. Die nächste Folge in 2 Wochen ist wieder eine ganz normale Folge mit einem neuen Gründer, auf die ich mich sehr freue. Bis dahin wünsche ich dir alles Gute und bis bald.